Guys, our Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale is still live over on fademe.store, up to 50% off site-wide. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Go check it out, fademe.store. Pick up some of the favorites. We got the Beers and Bets hat right here. You can get this for like $13 over there right now. If there are still some available, we only have this colorway left. Go check it out. That is fademe.store, or head to GuyBostonSports.com/store. It'll take you to the exact same place. This ends on December 2nd, so you don't have too many days left. Go check it out. Again, fademe.store, up to 50% off site-wide.
All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel.
I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We got week number 13 here in the NFL. In today's video, we're going to dive into this Sunday slate. We're going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within each game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. Before we get started, guys, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their Thanksgivings. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Game number 1 here, we're looking at the Panthers taking on the Rams. Now, the Rams are coming off of a really good win last time out, right? 34-7 against a beat-up Bucs team, but nonetheless a Bucs team. They also beat Seattle the week before. They've now won, I believe it's 6 straight games, 9-2 right now. On the road, they're 4-1. Going up against the Panthers, who do have a winning record at home at 3-2. They're coming off kind of an ugly loss to San Fran. Where we'd look in this one is probably no further than the Rams. I know it's a big number, but this is arguably the best team in the league right now, and I've been singing their praises for so long, right? This is a team that has the offense, obviously a bunch of skill players there, led by a really good quarterback with a good coach. But this defense, man, is awesome. Number 1 team in terms of points allowed per game at 16.3, only allowing 17.6 on the road as well. The Panthers rank 17th at home in terms of scoring, so I lean the Rams in here. But yes, 10.5 points is obviously a big number. Maybe we kind of pivot and look at a Carolina team total under. I also want to say that this is such a good defense on the ground that they're only allowing, I think it's like 3.7 or something like that, yards per carry. Rico Dowdle's had a good year, and he's obviously a good back. Maybe we take a peek at his unders in this one as well. So give me the Rams, but realistically, a Panthers team total under I'm a little bit more comfortable with overall. And then Rico Dowdle's unders from a player prop perspective. Next up, we have the Browns taking on the 49ers. Now, I look at this one and I say, yes, this Browns team maybe showed a little bit of life last week, but it was against the Raiders, right? Shedeur Sanders, maybe he did pick up his first win, but are we really ready? That was a tough one to say. Are we really ready to say that you are just 6 points worse than this San Fran team? I mean, we saw what San Francisco did last week against arguably a bad team, right? And the week before. Now with Brock Purdy back, I see them as a little bit more of a contender, not necessarily for a championship, but just a good team than they've shown. So yeah, this is San Francisco all day for me. I mean, their defense is a little lacking, but I really don't trust, even if Sanders does play well and all that stuff, I don't trust this offense on the Cleveland side of things. Now, you can definitely make an argument for this Cleveland running game, right? Like defensive game, especially against the ground. They are, I would say, the best run defense, maybe them and the Patriots, in the entire league, but Christian McCaffrey is a lot more versatile than just running the ball. I expect him to be able to be found out of the backfield and everything like that. So give me San Francisco minus the 6 points, the total at 39.5. I actually think that this is a tough offense for Cleveland to match up with because it's a running back that isn't necessarily just a pound the rock type running back. They'll get him involved multiple ways, and I think they'll go out there and score. Right now, their team total, yeah, you can see their team total at 20.5 for -120. I know this is a very, very good Cleveland Browns defense, but I think that Brock Purdy's health, it makes this team a lot more dynamic. So I think I'll lean in that direction as well. But honestly, if you can snag the 49ers at, 5.5 or something like that, that's probably where I'd go overall. In terms of player props, I don't mind the idea of someone like Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield again. We hit that on Monday Night Football, and maybe that's why this spread is a little bit lower, because it is a short rest for them. But nonetheless, I still do think McCaffrey is going to be a little bit scat-backy in this, in a good way, right? So give me his receiving yards over. I don't have the exact lineup in front of me, but either way, that's the direction I'm leaning in. Indianapolis taking on Houston. Now, this is probably going to be a very interesting game, right? You have Indianapolis, who just collapsed against the Chiefs, in a bounce-back spot here at home against a team that isn't all that great, but a really good defense and a team that is coming off of a major primetime win against Buffalo, right? Maybe they're heading in the right direction. Now, in terms of injuries, we'll definitely want to keep an eye on the quarterback position there. CJ Stroud is questionable as of right now, so that'll be obviously very important to note. I do think that the favorite gets the job done here. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to two things that happened last week. Indianapolis collapsing against the Chiefs, but let's not forget they were up a lot during that game. Like, they looked good for a decent amount of that game. That's one thing. And then the second thing would be that Houston took it to the Bills, right? And that game finished 23-19. It really didn't feel like 23-19. I feel like Houston was just in command of that game. Is 23-19 the thing in Monsters, Inc.? 23-19, something like that, right? But I do think this is a little bit of an overreaction line-wise. So give me Indianapolis here, minus the 4.5. The total at 44.5 is intriguing. Obviously, Houston, like I said, one of the best teams in the league, allowing 16.5 points allowed per game. They're also allowing just 172 through the air to their opponents, but they're a little bit less efficient when it comes to the running attack. They're ranked just 13th in terms of yards per carry. Now, on the road, 3.2 allowed to the number one team. So maybe there is, two sides of the coin there. But I do think that this one could still go under while the Colts cover, because Daniel Jones may be limited to some degree just based on that, passing attack and passing defense on the Texas side of things. But I think we see a bounce-back week from Jonathan Taylor overall. So not to call the Texans' defense soft in any area, but if I'd rather run on them or pass on them based on this year's numbers, I think running is the way to go. In terms of player props, maybe a Daniel Jones under in yards or something like that. Like, I know it doesn't correlate to me liking them to bounce back, but we have to give credit where it's due to this incredible defense. Maybe a Michael Pittman Jr. under in receptions. I mean, Stingley should be all over him, right? All right, guys, before we continue on, I wanted to talk to you about Epic. If you have not tried out Epic yet, it is a new, amazing DFS app out there right now. I've been really enjoying it myself. They have unbelievable payouts and value just in terms of the lines that you get, right? But that's not even the coolest thing. First and foremost, they launched a web version, so you can do it on the computer, which is awesome. But the Fade'em section is absolutely amazing. You can go in and finally be the house, right? You can look at what other people have put together and say, hey, I'm going to fade that lineup. And obviously, fade me's all around me. We love hearing that, right? You can go in and say, hey, that person that put together a 6-man, I don't think they get all of those right. All we need on the Fade'em side is one to be incorrect, and you get paid out. Try it out, guys. They'll match your first deposit as well, up to $50. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. I think there's a lot of good things to come from Epic, so go ahead and check it out. Let's jump back into these games. Dolphins taking on the Saints. While I will admit we have some good games on the card this week, we also have like a handful of just messy games, and I think that this is one of those, right? Pick your poison with this one. I mean, the Dolphins we have this wrong, it is -6 here at home, total at 41.5. The Saints, you're not going to sit here and tell me that the Saints team is very good, but the Dolphins also have been such a strugglesome team. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. Now, obviously, they have the bye week, right? Like, I would kind of feel and assume like they would, they're going to come out flat after, like, I don't think that they would want a bye week when they were playing really, really good football. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So it kind of stinks for them. New Orleans has lost a bunch of games this year, right? They're just 2-9. But Miami at home is a little bit better. But I can't lay 6 points with Miami, can I? I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. I'm on the fence with this one, but give me the Saints plus the 6. I don't think that this one makes its way into being a final play, but that's the direction I would lean in. In terms of where we go from a total perspective, this could easily be like a 23-17 type of a game, even if Miami does win, or vice versa. It still puts us just under that 41.5. I don't like the idea of backing, realistically, either one of these defenses, but I think I'm going to do it because I don't like the offenses even more. So I'm going to lean slightly under in this one. Jets taking on the Falcons. We're going to keep an eye on the injury on the Falcons side of things because Drake London is questionable and obviously missing time last week. That is such a big part of their offense. Now, if you're unaware, Michael Penix Jr. is on the IR, right? So obviously even Drake London may get impacted by that, but overall I will say that Drake London is a massive piece of that offense. With him playing and Bijan, you have two of the most talented guys in the league out there. I don't mind really the Jets in this spot. If we can get like a 3.5, 2.5 right now isn't doing it for me. At that point, I might just, roll the dice on a Jets money line. They are at home. I'm not trying to say that they're amazing at home or anything like that. But, they have 2 wins this year. One of them did come at home. And this is a Falcons squad that, we've just seen them collapse. Yes, they're coming off a win last week, but it was against the team we just kind of ragged on, the Saints. What really gets me here is the lack thereof of ground presence defensively on the Falcons side of things. I don't think the Jets are going to need, I think it's Tyrod Taylor at this point, to throw the ball, right? But Breece Hall should have a decent enough game. I mean, Atlanta ranks 26th in terms of rushing yards allowed per game, 4.6 yards per carry. In the last 3 games, they're allowing over 5 yards per carry. So this could be a decent enough spot. Now, 2 schemes that the Jets run. Inside zone, Atlanta is very good at. Man duo, Atlanta, in terms of yards per carry against that man duo scheme, they rank 28th. So if we can get some man carries to Breece Hall, I think that he has a decent enough game and leads the Jets to either covering 3.5 if we can get that number or a money line win. I'll sound the psycho alert alarm again because we just leaned, Saints and now Jets? What are we doing over here? Crazy stuff. I do like Breece Hall in this one, though. In terms of a total, this number is very low, but that's most likely because you have 2 teams that are averaging less than 20 points per game. The flip side is I don't think either defense is all that phenomenal, right? Like this Jets team, okay, maybe they're decent enough in the past, but that's just because the numbers would indicate that because obviously, teams get up on them and then they're running the ball, right? So that's why they're a top 10 team in terms of passing yards per game. Kirk Cousins should be okay here. I think both teams can get to 20 plus points. So I'll lean towards an over 39.5. I think it can get messy, but again, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, we have some guys in this game that are obviously very, very good in terms of just individual play. Their teams, maybe not so much. Bucks taking on the Cardinals. Cardinals coming off of a tough one against Jacksonville. That one went to OT. I was okay with, though, because we had Jacksonville on the money line. Now, Tampa Bay, we kind of already hinted at it, right? Or talked about it when we covered the Rams game. They're coming off of a stomping. The Rams beat them 34-7, man. Obviously a tough one there. That was Sunday Night Football. I do think that Baker probably, has a better game if he is good to go and if he is healthy here. But if he's not, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater did not look like he was throwing the football or spinning the thing all that well, right? So I don't mind the Cardinals getting 3 points if Teddy Bridgewater plays. We also have Bredesen, the left guard. He's questionable in this one as well for the Bucs. So Bucky Irving may be coming back or he's questionable. There's so many different reports out there. So it depends on health for the Bucs, in this one for me. I don't mind the idea of the Cardinals. Obviously, again, if those guys aren't playing, if they are, if Baker plays, if Bucky Irving somehow plays, which, again, he's going back and forth in terms of what they keep saying and reporting. If he plays, then yeah, this 3 doesn't even look all that big because now you have your quarterback, your running back, and that type of a thing. Where I would probably pivot, and I don't have the line as of right now, we're recording this a few days in advance, Jacoby Brissett. How many times do I have to scream from the mountaintops this guy's completions, or his attempts, whatever you want, right? He had, 30-something last week. 2 weeks ago, we had him at 20.5, and he set the freaking NFL record. The Bucs defensively, I would say, are really, really strong against the run, and I still maintain that. You can get them in the passing game. They're allowing 243.5 through the air. Last 3 games, second to last in terms of passing yards, and this is an Arizona team that still should just be passing the ball. Marvin Harrison is questionable, I will mention that, but they have 0 run game, right? Like, they really just don't. So why not continue? Unless it's a crazy high number. If it's like anything to 23.5, 24.5 and under, give me Jacoby's over in his completions because it'd be weird for them to set a line that's much higher than that. Like, that's a very, very high line. I haven't really talked about the total in this one. I think that's also dependent on what we're going to see from the quarterback and even just like the injury side of things on the Bucs side. I mean, I'm not taking it over with Jacoby Brissett, with Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not taking it over with him at quarterback. If Baker was out there and I thought that maybe, Jacoby Brissett could move the ball somehow, 44.5 doesn't seem all that high. So I'll let it hinge on Baker. If he plays, I really don't mind the over. I honestly don't mind it. I think that Baker can obviously put up a good number against this Arizona team. We haven't really talked about their defense. They're not all that great. Titans taking on the Jags. Let's start this one with a player prop. You know what you guys have been calling me, and AK I've been calling myself, not really you guys, the Cam Ward Whisperer. We've hit 2 overs on him this year and 2 unders for his passing yards. I don't mind him in this spot, guys, over 199.5. They can get 196.5 elsewhere as well. I think it's a decent enough spot. I mean, we look at some of the quarterbacks that Jacksonville has played. Jacoby Brissett, 317 against him. Davis Mills threw for 292. Geno Smith, 284. These are not top of the, category creme de la creme quarterbacks. Cam Ward should be in a decent enough spot here, I would say. He's going to see a lot of zone. I like that as well. I also don't mind Trevor Lawrence through the air. So both quarterbacks, I think, could have decent enough games here. Where do we go from a side perspective, though? Well, I'll tell you what. Neither one of these offenses really, takes my socks off or blows my socks off. Tennessee's probably a little bit worse, but with that total down there at 42.5, it's clear that we think this is going to be somewhat of a low-scoring game, right? I could see this being like a, I don't know, what we put it, 21 to 17 type of a game, which obviously is under that 42.5, but even though the Titans may lose, they still have 6.5 points in their back pocket. We're sounding the psycho alert alarm again. We're doing crazy things. Comment psycho if you made it this far into the video. Give me the Titans plus the 6.5. Like I said, I don't mind the under. I think both these offenses are really stagnant. But I do think Cam Ward, and again, you're like, why are you taking the over if you're like the under? We're talking 200 passing yards. He could throw for like 206, and this game could still be well under. I'm not saying Cam Ward goes for 300, Seahawks taking on the Vikings. Seahawks, big favorites in this one. Obviously, I would say rightfully so, right? This is a very good team. Still a little bit bummed, I'll be honest, that they lost that game to the Rams because we still have the future that looks pretty damn good of the Seahawks to win that division. It's going to be tough to get through the Rams. They did bounce back after that loss, though, right? They dropped 30 on the Titans last week. Minnesota only scored 6 points against Green Bay. McCarthy is questionable in this one. I don't really see anything that's pointing me in the direction of Minnesota. I do think that they could play decent enough defense, but man, Sam Darnold should be able to perform here, I would say. This is a Vikings team that from a raw numbers perspective, you're like, oh man, they're pretty damn good, right? Number 7 in terms of passing yards per game, defensively 9 in terms of yards per carry, but from a DVOA perspective, 20th and 14th. I think that we could see the ball being moved by Seattle here. So I give Vikings a little bit of credit, but I don't necessarily like them to stop this squad. I'm going to lean towards Seattle. 10.5's a lot. Maybe there's some parlay opportunity with Seattle in an alternate line and the Rams, who we already talked about, in an alternate line. Two of the same divisional rivals teaming up this week. Maybe that's something that we do. So I'll lean towards Seattle. In terms of a total, I kind of go back and forth. I want to give Minnesota's defense some credit, but I think that we can see some dinking and dunking down the field at the very least out of Seattle. So maybe a team total over for them, because if we were to lean towards the over, we have to try and accept that, whoever's playing quarterback in this offense for the Vikings is going to put up points, and that seems a little dicey to say out loud. So maybe we trim the fat, the Vikings being the fat here, and just look at a Seattle team total over. And Sam Darnold is a spot that I would consider in terms of, a player prop here. He shouldn't get pressured. I mean, this Vikings team blitzes a ton, but they don't really get home, so he should be able to find his receivers. I don't mind his completions. Right now, let me see if I can find his updated yards line. But I think, completions is what I'd take a peek at here. Yeah, over 20.5. I don't mind in this spot. The Vikings are getting thrown on the third most in the entire league, and rightfully so. So maybe, Sam Darnold, he's only hit this over 4 times this year, but this could be the time. 240.5 for his passing yards. I don't necessarily hate either. Yeah, keep an eye on the final plays. There's some potential that we have here with this Seattle team this week. Chargers taking on the Raiders. So when the Chargers last played a couple weeks ago, they were one of my favorite spots on the entire week. They played Jacksonville, right? And they lost 35-6. They head into the bye, which is obviously good for them. This Raiders team stinks. They can't even seem to sniff 20 points. So I think the Chargers do what, I thought they would do to the Jaguars to this Raiders squad. They are at home now. That's obviously good. I don't know if I trust this offense all that much to be able to go out there and cover 10 points. There's just an absent run game, and obviously the Raiders defense is pretty damn, I shouldn't even say pretty damn bad. Like that is a middle of the pack defense. I don't think the Chargers go out there and absolutely dominate offensively. Maybe they do. But like I've been saying, kind of a theme of this video is talking about trimming the fat and whatnot. I don't mind the Raiders under 17.5, under 16.5 points, something like that. They've hit the under 16.5 in 3 straight games, if I'm not mistaken. 7, 16, and 10 against Denver, Dallas, and Cleveland. The biggest one would be Dallas, right? Because I would say Cleveland and Denver, really good defenses. Dallas, one of the worst, if not the worst in the league, only scored 16 on them. Chargers are a little better than that. So I guess a hybridized version of this, to me, to back the Chargers would be the Raiders team total under, because that spread of 10, I don't think I could fully get there behind a Chargers offense. If we do look at this defense and where they're, the Raiders and where they're good, they're actually second best in terms of yards per carry defensively. Passing yards per game, not exactly the best. It might be a time that we can target Justin Herbert again for his overs. We've talked about that many times before. With all the injuries that they've had, they put the ball in Justin Herbert's hand, which sometimes against a good defense can hurt you, right? Haskins, Hampton, and Harris are all in the IR. It's like you put it in his hands, he may make some dumb moves, but I don't think that this Raiders team is going to fully, turn on the nitrous of a turnover rate. They are top half in the league, but I think that Justin Herbert at least might throw the ball a lot, whether he completes it or anything like that. Maybe in attempts, a quantity versus quality type of a play on him could be in our final card this week. All right, Steelers taking on the Bills. Obviously a key number here at 3.5. A couple of the injuries to note would be a few things on the Steelers side. So Aaron Rodgers didn't play last week. He's questionable here. DK Metcalf's also questionable. And then Broderick Jones, their left tackle, is already ruled out of this game, as is Derek Harmon on the defensive side. So obviously a few injuries that are definitely impactful to this game that we want to keep an eye on. Dalton Kincaid is questionable. He's missed a couple weeks. And then Spencer Brown, right tackle for Buffalo, is listed as doubtful. Let's keep an eye on these injuries as the next couple days progress here. But as of right now, you have a beaten-up Steelers team, even if Aaron Rodgers plays, he's not 100%, but a Buffalo team that's coming off of kind of a pantsing in Houston, right? I think that 3 points, if you can get this at that number versus the 3.5, is where I would go. Head-to-head here, they played, a year ago, and 31-17 is what we're looking at from a final score. Buffalo won that one. It was in Buffalo, and obviously Steelers a much different team. But I like the idea of the Steelers in a bounce back spot. The only thing that worries me is like those weird trends where it's like Mike Tomlin off a loss as a dog at home. It's like, yeah, I guess I hear you. But no, I think the Bills are the better team overall. I'm going to lean in their direction. This Steelers defense in terms of the run is coming around, but man, the passing is still really tough. And I don't know if you guys have heard of the quarterback on the Bills. Josh Allen has been known to light it up every now and then. I like him over 1.5 passing touchdowns in this spot as well. I think James Cook is one of the best running backs in the league, but like I said, I think that this Steelers defense, especially at home, is going to bottleneck him just a little bit. So if we have to lay our head on a player prop here, it's probably Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns, which right now the odds for that, we saw it a little bit earlier, it's like minus 125. Really do not mind that whatsoever. In terms of a total, maybe the over, because the Bills defense, I'm still not giving too much credit, but we would need Aaron Rodgers and DK both to be playing to really be confident in that. So as of right now, yeah, a lot of team total. You've heard me say team total a ton this video. Another Bills team total, another team total play is potentially in the cards. But I do think Josh Allen has himself a little bit of a resurgence after 0 passing touchdowns, and I believe it was less than 250 or maybe just over 250 against Houston. All right, Washington taking on Denver. I hate to say it, but another game in which the injuries are a little murky still, right? Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, listed as questionable in this spot. I believe Debo's good to go, though, I guess. Overall, this isn't exactly the easiest game to peg, just because that number seems so key, right, at 6.5. Now, like I mentioned, injuries are important. The Commanders really have not had anything consistent when it comes to their injuries. Jaden McDaniels been in and out. Terry McLaurin's been in and out. Debo's missed a few games. So obviously they've yet to kind of, get things in rhythm. Kind of the opposite for Denver, right? This team has stayed fairly healthy. They've won now, is it 8 straight games, something like that. A few good wins mixed in there. The Philadelphia win, Kansas City win. I will say, and this is important, I guess, Las Vegas, Houston, Dallas, Giants, Jets, Cincinnati, those are the other teams that they've beat. They haven't really been tested, but let's be real. Like, where are we going to put this Washington team, right? I don't think that they're much better, even if Terry plays, if Jaden plays. Like, I don't think that they're much better than what we're seeing this Denver team beat. So defense being the biggest thing in this game, I think Denver can go out there and hold down the fort. Another big thing to note is Washington, who, weirdly enough, top 5 running team so far this year, top 4 in terms of rushing yards per carry. They actually, at home, are the number 1 rushing offense in the league, averaging 159 yards per game. They run the second most man scheme runs. Denver is a top 4 team in terms of yards per carry against. I don't see how Washington moves the ball consistently down the field. It's a key number there at 6.5. I don't mind Denver, though, minus the points. In terms of the total, I would say under because, again, like I still am, and I've said this plenty of times on videos, I'm not the biggest Bo Nix and Denver offense believer whatsoever. I trust that defense, but not exactly the offense overall. So I still think this one could be an under type of a game, maybe at like 42 as a final score or something like that. So give me the under. From a player prop perspective, I don't mind the idea of, unders on either Chris Rodriguez or Bill Groski-Merritt. Like, something like that could be in the mix as well, just because, obviously, I mentioned the man scheme, and this Washington team will run the ball a decent amount. Like, they're running it at the 3rd highest clip so far this season. I think that we could, and I think the 2nd highest clip at home, I could see them try to establish the run and be like, oh boy, this ain't working out, right? And then what if it's like, oh, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin are playing, they're probably going to want to throw the ball a little bit more than usual. So some unders on the running back side of things may be worth considering. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Go ahead and smack that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you are new. Let me know all of your favorite plays like I've mentioned down in the comments. Hopefully you guys are enjoying week number 13. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.